Well, hello, and for anybody that's tuning in, my name is Epic Wolf, and I'm going to be working on some Gundams here with you guys. Welcome to the new channel on GunPla and Chill, or Gundam and Chill. We're going to get started as our first model kit from the audience has chosen actually is Deathscythe Rasset, the P-Bandite version. Is the one that we're going to be broadcasting first, and I have a slew of Gundams to go ahead and go through in this instance, so stay tuned in the channel for additional Gundams as well. If you like what you see, have fun conversation, this is a great place to be for that as well. And just, looking to talk about Gundams in general. So, I'm a huge fan of them, have really almost close to 140. I've built 70 of them so far, so about halfway through there. So, but for tonight, we're going to go ahead and get started. This is actually brand new, so haven't even opened it. Just came from Japan not too long ago. Really great site to look up for if you're looking to buy Gundams in general is Karama Toys. It's based out of Japan in general, and shipping's not too bad, and they do allow other options such as shipping when the product comes out. Great place to get P Bandais as well. If you're looking to get Premier Bandai options that are not available in the U.S., but mainly available just in the Far East in general. So we're going to be focusing on once again Deathscythe. The P Bandai comes out with the extra equipment here as well, so it's got the special wing set for it. I'm looking to be more true to Deathscythe in the first place. So if you saw the background image coming into today, you'll see that once again we're looking for those original colors. So fun things to point out here is that on this rehash model, which is it's once again a fantastic design in general, and we'll talk more about that as well. But there's some coloring issues. So there's the coloring of the backpack specifically. There's some yellow and some gray there that is not welcome in this instance. The head is white with Deathscythe that's normally the same color as the upper armor pieces. And then last but not least, the skirt armor is also a couple different colors that are not present here. So, which means to get this build started, since we've already looked at the colors in general, we're gonna have to paint this one from the start. So, which is fine. I'm actually choosing for this one. We're not going to do any painting today, but we're going to use a Titan blue with a little bit of black mixture to get that nice dark heavy, once again like Deathscythe in the anime look as well. And that's what I'm going to once again going to be for our skirt pieces, our feet here as you can see, chest, upper arm, and also the hands here as well. The hands on the anime itself is a little bit different color than just being straight white. And then we're going to make a custom color for the jetpack in general. We'll see, actually we can dig through the pieces here real fast. I'm pretty sure the jetpack is an ugly color to say the least. Yeah, it's just the default gray. We got some of the pieces in here, and then we have some of the other pieces over here as well. So yeah, just a default ugly gray. So we're going to make a custom color for that one. Kind of like a closer to like a stone gray, which means that we're going to have to put a little bit of blue inside of that as well, or light blue specifically. So build those colors. I'll leave it up for anybody else that describes as well, and that's painting the frame. Painting the frame, I have a mixed feelings towards it. The reason being is because a lot of the times painting the frame can do some harm rather than some good. For the overall quality of the build itself, and that could be specifically the appearance of scratch marks will come about, since obviously the frame in many instances is designed to move, and the least amount of scratching the better. Now granted, you can paint with a lacquer for the frame, which will do that, but I'm not looking to paint with lacquer. It's a little bit sometimes too toxic, and it rains all the time where I'm at, which means I'm not always able to get out there and actually paint these items outside, which is why I base most of my painting on acrylic. Now, I do want to go ahead and show off, I'm going to say, this model's older brother. And an older brother in a sense that it is a kit bash between the original Deathscythe that we're seeing here, and also a Deathscythe Hell from back in 1995. So pulling this bad boy down, this is what we got here. This is that dark color that we're talking about in general. Once again, staying true to the anime colors in the first place, especially with the skirt armor, and then the headpiece is a little bit different, which actually, pointing that out, we're going to have to paint this headpiece that's right here red. It's going to have to be the same yellowish color though as well. So we're looking to go to yellow. That's actually, that one was a pretty fun color to paint in general because it was a black primer with a yellow on top of it. So it really, once again, gives that really nice dark look that we're looking for with a Deathscythe in the first place. And this is kind of that custom color as well for the skirt armor as well as for the jetpack. The jetpack is see a little bit more true to the anime colors here. In the first place is if you've ever seen Gundam Wing. So that's our original Deathscythe Hell older brother here in an instance. Yep, it's the upgraded model on the show. But this is actually probably one of my definitely my favorite kit bash that I've made so far. And also just one of my favorite Gundams in general. Go Deathscythe. I know he's a big fan favorite in general across the board. So I'm super happy to kind of make him the original one this time. And this also goes with what I'm considering my my season 1 kits. So we know that Gundam Wing actually is not divided up into 2 different seasons. It's listed as actually just a season 1, 49 episodes long. Good stuff there in general, but there is actually a pretty clear distinction in the show where they switch things up a bit. And so season 1 is pretty much, you're going to be seeing that all on Earth. All the Gundams there are on Earth. They're mainly fighting Oz there as well. We see that eventually Hito, Katra duo are in Troa look to get into space, and then Wu Fei does his own thing as well, getting up there in addition to it. And as he is doing that, as they are doing that, we see a clear transition from all the battles being on Earth to almost everything being exclusively inside of space. And that's when we actually start seeing the different models of mobile suits come in. What are those different models of mobile suits? We have a good number of about 5 of them to talk about here. And those are some of them I've actually mostly built from what I'm considering the Season 2. So in Season 2 would be your Shenlong upgrade into Ultron, the Double Dragon Arms. Then we also have, addition to Ultron, we have Deathscythe Hell, which is the upgraded version of Deathscythe. Then we also see the original Mobile Suit Gundam that was made during this period, which is the original Deathscythe. And sorry about that. Looks like I lost a little. Yep, but we're back online now. So what we were saying though, before we go on to our next mobile suit though, is that with P Bandais, this is one of the best features about them is that they almost always come with water slides, which if you ever do decaling before for any other mobile suit or model kit in general, water slides is literally just the way to go for so many different reasons. Reason one is very, very little fingerprint left over afterwards. Reason number two, they're actually I find them super easy because the water allows it to slide on. I know, right? Slide across the plane there that you're applying them to, which eventually makes it really, really easy to apply to your kit as well. Makes it look real, real solid and awesome. So I'm gonna put that to the side though because that's gonna interfere with their pieces. So season 2 though, season 2 kits and season 2 suits and as well is once again we're looking at. So we've already talked about Deathscythe Hell. We talked about Ultron, the original Wing Zero as well in this portion. So Wing Zero is an original Gundam, and they're like, hey, the scientists are like, maybe this is too much for these kids to handle, which they're probably not wrong. Those kids probably had a super hard time handling that in the first place. Um, so we have those. So Wing Zero comes out, definitely being an upgrade to the original Wing in the as well. Wing did not have a zero system in there for it, and the zero system was part of getting awesome in the first place for that mobile suit, and that really helped it to stand out above its peers though as well. And then we don't see any additional things though for Samrock and Heavy Arms. Heavy Arms actually, as far as like aesthetics go, they're pretty much the same. However, though, once again, that big distinction is that once those two suits came up into space, they were added with some additional upgrades though as well. So Heavy Arms was given a double Gatling cannon, while also Sandrock was given what looks like, let's just call it a big Uzi, because that's what it is. It's a Mac 10. He's looking to just shoot everything down in space. So they give him actually some ranged weapons versus just his blades that he has on Earth specifically during that time. So those are the season 2 suits for our Gundam pilots. Now, once again, there's only 3 new ones introduced: Deathscythe Hell, Ultron, and Wing Zero that are introduced to us. But let's actually look at the other options. And the other options that I'm considering my Season 2 suits, and these are the other 2 in general in Season 2, are the big ones are Tall Geese 2, the upgraded version. Not even upgraded, just the redesign of Tall Geese that's, Trey's uses specifically. That's, being the sovereign leader of Earth, brings it up there. Not necessarily too many modifications to the suit at all, but one heck of an awesome looking mohawk, and then also an amazing blue color that it has, with a little bit changing inside of its skirtings though as well. So happy 4th of July to you guys, everybody. I don't know if you can hear, but there is definitely some fireworks going off in my area. Even though it's super rainy outside, people still can't get enough of the Pyromaniacs. And then last but not least, and definitely my favorite suit from What's Up? My favorite suit from Gundam Wing in general is Epion. Very, very little melee weapons in the first place. Excuse me, range weapons, all melee there, which is pretty awesome. So, but yeah, so we have our first person dropping in here, Beard Pills. I think I know who that is. Welcome, welcome, Ian. Or actually, we'll go by Beard Peels. No names, just handles. So, but you haven't missed much. We are literally just finished unwrapping everything. Some people will build these. The first sub is indeed representing. So the first thing to note here is with some people will build Gundams specifically with gloves on to avoid getting too many oils on it. Well, in all honesty, when they're injecting the plastic into the molds themselves, they have to put an oil coating over things. So it's already going to have oil from the start. So I'm going barehanded, and that's my favorite way to do it anyway, is to work on these things barehanded as well. And so I'm gonna take all my armor pieces. I'm looking at all my armor. So we're talking about all basically white and colored pieces in general. And I'm gonna fully just put them to the side, because I know my instructions here are gonna focus on my interior frame. I also like to put my runners, as they're called, into the kind of back into what I consider my build box. My build box is the side that actually has the picture. I'm going to be keeping this in general. So with that being the case, that's my idea, is that, hey, I'm keeping these parts. So these are going to be the ones that I put aside for now. And I like to put my runners in there by their alphabetical order though as well, which is actually hilarious, because this first runner that I'm looking at right now does not necessarily have. Oh, there it is. It's letter. It's an I1. So put these in there by their alphabetical order to make it a little bit easier to find, especially because I just sift through them as literally as if you're sifting through pages of a book. And so I'm going to stack these all up in there. These are one of the easiest things to just really get cut out from the start, and you can just throw the runners away. I actually have an extra set from the kick bash that I showed you because I didn't use these, so these are literally, I'm just going to really put them to the side. I don't need them almost at all. I've already got them clipped out and cleaned up in another area. Which is, a big thing to do is that if you are just now thinking of like, hey, maybe I want to start building some model kits, is all the pieces that are extra, try to keep those. And a really good word is that sometimes things get broken, whether it's by you or by family. I have children, so yes, they have broken some of them Gundams, but having those extra pieces around really helps out with making sure that we are safe and secure across the board in case anything gets broken. It's much easier to just get it from an old kit that has similar pieces versus not, or having to buy another kit again, which, fingers crossed, I have not had to do, even though I kind of should for one of them. But yeah, so now we got our runners in here for the most part in our alphabetical order. This is a master grade, which is definitely a really good size to work on. Really easy to handle in general, and it gives a great look and feel for it at the end of it. And just to kind of give that preference, let me go ahead and get two off the shelf to give you a good old-fashioned size comparison. So a little bit of a modified kit. So this is a 1/100 Sonaju Stein, and this is right here with it another customized version of Sonaju Stein, but nonetheless they're still pretty much the exact same across the board. Its jetpack is so massive in this version CA that it's just cumbersome to try to lay it flat. But there's our size comparison in general. Granted, these ones are bigger for our HDs than normally for our master grades, which is this guy. But once again, really good size to handle with. Amazing poses, and those heavier frames really help out in the long run though as well, with any poses or action poses you're looking to do. Now, so before we really start building, there's one other final thing we want to do, and that's prep this. I call it my trash box. Like really, all my runners and everything are going to be jumping into here specifically. And yeah, beard peels. It is definitely a pretty good, a pretty big difference. I mean, this master grade is huge. This Deathscythe is not going to be as big, but it's still a good size. And to answer your other question though, is that the oils do impact the painting though specifically. And it impacts those, especially like if you're going to prime it as well, it impacts how the primer sticks to it. So it's a good idea that those things that are going to be painted, so all that armor is actually maybe washed a little bit, and you can literally just throw it into soapy water in general, and it'll let itself be cleaned up at that point. And so master grade kits are filled with a bunch of Japanese, especially when they're the older ones. We can see here once again kind of this whole idea that these are the original TV series. We're looking to do once again more of the color. No, it's black and white here. More the colored version of this one. And then here's the redesign that was made by, oh my goodness, I'm forgetting his name now. But the Endless Waltz designer did a fantastic job with it. In general, and so, but we're gonna stick true. We're building this one into the original colors though, and so, fun thing to think about, and I'd love to hear your ideas though too. This is the only Gundam series that's listed as new mobile report Gundam Wing. New mobile report. So that means that there was, I mean, I'm deducing that the word new either means that there was previously reports of Gundams, or like where did that come from in the first place? Why do they have new in front of there? And so everything else has always been, and even some of the other alternate universes are. It's listed as Kido Senshi Gundam, which is Mobile Suit Gundam, and then add in Gundam 00, add in Mobile Suit Gundam in general. So maybe a refresh. That's a fun idea as well. But if you've ever seen the anime for this first one, for excuse me, not for I say first one, first real one in America, but Gundam Wing was unique in the fact that there is like this whole like I don't want to say there's a lot of fright. There's a lot of fright behind the Gundams. There's a lot of like it seems like they're legends before they're actually legends. A refresh on the design, definitely. But even before this, though, Gundam Wing came out before, excuse me, after G Gundam is what it's called. So G Gundam was definitely a refresh on mobile suit design in the first place. Check out Tequila Gundam or Holland Gundam; those are actually quite hilarious in general. So, but I'm actually thinking that, and this is just a really just bold claim, and there's no backing for this, but the whole new report, yeah, and I'll get that in a second there for you as well. So, but a new report specifically for Gundam Wing, being that there was old reports. And old reports would mean that this alternate universe, hey, maybe it takes place a little bit farther down the line in the Universal Century world. I know it's not listed as Universal Century; it's listed as After Colonies, but fun facts here is that what's unique about this one is that they eventually, if you listen to the end of some of the conversation in Endless Waltz, they're looking to go terraform Mars. Like there's talk about that, and so um, which kind of leads into our next series there afterwards, which is Iron Blooded Orphans, as a fun thing to kind of follow up from that as well. And a big thing that takes place during the Iron Blooded Orphans piece is that they mention of a calamity war that happened 300 years ago, so really resetting the universe. Um, so let me actually do a little bit more building though than just talking here. I am super sorry about that. But I only pull out a few tools for actually getting started today. So I've got a couple pairs of nippers. These ones I like to just get the runners off, excuse me, to get the pieces off, and this is where I actually clean it up. And especially with some of these inner pieces, we don't need to do much more than that. I do have a blade here as well, an X-Acto knife. Sadly, the tip got chipped, but I have another one. And then tweezers actually sometimes helps out with putting parts in, but we're probably not going to need this today though at all to really get started. So no, no, no. And Beard Pills, you're welcome to ask as many questions as you want. This is what this conversation and this build is for in the first place, or this stream is for. Answer all these Gundam questions. Totally nerd out about them because Gundams are amazing. I absolutely love them in every single way. So Bandai has done the best thing in the world for me by making model kits. Sunrise is amazing for publishing them. So shout outs to those companies in Japan for making this a reality for this guy over here. So we're gonna go ahead and get started though, but also let's talk about how do you mean Gundams are legends? Well, I'm gonna take you guys back to episode 1 of Gundam Wing, and if you haven't watched it, hopefully this will invigorate you to kind of see some of these older scenes about this older show though as well. But Zex mentions at the beginning of it that there's something about, hey, we've heard of something about these mobile suits called Gundams in the first place. The Gundams have not been listed, nor have the names ever been given inside of the organizations of Oz or in the organization of the Earth Alliance at the time. So, how do they know what they to call these things unless they had something beforehand as well? So we knew about Operation Meteor. The Earth Alliance kind of cut off communications between the colonies so that they could not rebel against them. Sounds like some really bad and good old-fashioned trickery from a overpowering government. Oh, that's another very big Gundam trade in general. In general, so they did that specifically. So how did people know about Gundams? Because outside of that, there was no other name. Zex mentions it in episode 1, and then we just see once again these organizations, the Earth Alliance and Oz, both using those names very very interchangeably. And if you can see here, try to get some focus on that. I just clipped off a little bit here to just let the have a little bit of appearance of that runner on there, and then from there just take these finer ones. These are a single blade nipper specifically. These ones tend to break if you drop them on the floor type deal, but get them really, really close. And yeah, there's a little bit of stress mark there. So we can get that up again. A little bit of stress mark, but this is an inner frame piece, so we will never see that in the first place. And so that's why, once again, I'm very hesitant about painting inner frames, because once again, it can weaken some plastic, as well as it's not designed actually to be painted in many instances. This plastic is much more oily in the first place, and you can, obviously that's not something you can see here, but it's actually very much a feel of the plastic itself. You can feel that it's actually quite oily. Because it's actually how to say, more pliable plastic. These parts are a little bit more easy to break in some instances, I feel, but it's still very, very workable. So, but that's what I'm meaning about that Legends piece, though, Beard Pills, is that once again we hear them talk about Gundams from the start, and then as soon as they see that these mobile suits are able to take that sort of damage and they're able to um, produce the amounts of destruction that they have, they immediately are just like absolutely every single time they see them throughout the rest of the show, and well, I'm gonna call it once again throughout the rest of the first season, it's always like it's a Gundam being utterly shocked that it's there. And so once again, it gives that feel that there's a legend idea behind them, and that they're just super, super strong and crazy to be around in the first place. And so that's my Legends theories behind it, and that's kind of my idea that it's new mobile report Gundam, that we hear that that's why it's called a new Gundam, new report specifically. So that is how that kind of looks in general. Granted, you can, I mean, I love the idea of a refresh is totally super valid, especially because in like Universal Century they called the metal that the Gundam is made out of, and other mobile suits though as well, Gundarium, right? And then of course Mobile Suit Gundam Wing, they called it just straight up Gundanium. So interesting that the names are different. Interesting that we have those just small little things there about these mobile suits in Gundam Wing in general. And especially because they all take on that same like look and appearance of other Gundams though as well from other past series, same color schemes, and it's pretty unique that they built 5 of them, or that the scientists built 5 of them. So those are some of my thoughts about it. But since we're building Deathscythe, I'd love to hear any questions about Deathscythe. I'm actually a really big fan of Gundam Wing in general. Gundam Wing came out. Gundam Wing is definitely one of my favorites, and I think it actually gets a bad rap, especially because like nowadays, I mean, some of the voice acting is sure a little bit dated in general. My 2 favorite characters still from it is Zex Marquise and Treize Kushrenada. Those 2 are pretty doggone awesome as characters in general. And I don't want to spoil any story until we start finishing up this Gundam, but the big thing for these 2 characters in the first place is that they're both chivalrous men for the most part. They're trying to do right things, and they're also, to me, they're the ones that actually drive this show a lot more than actually the Gundam pilots themselves. Yeah, there's a focus on Hero, and Hero in many instances can be super stupid in the first place. Bless his soul per se. And then there's also the other 5 Gundam pilots. Cho was probably the most reasonable of them all. Katra is definitely the whiny baby. And then Wu Fei doesn't care about anybody, which, if you've ever thought back, hey, why does he feel that way? Well, he's a 15-year-old. And as my sister so eloquently said the other day, teenagers just suck. And just being teenagers is usually not the best time. So for all my teenagers that may tune in eventually as well, you don't suck at all. Things are changing a lot for you in general, and so with that being the case, some things may be difficult. And as it's difficult, hey, just talk about it, express it with others, and then that way we everybody can help things out in general. So If anybody remembers back to their teenage years, I'm sure it was not all cupcakes and rainbows. Maybe it was just all cupcakes. Maybe it was all just rainbows. Either way, it's usually not both together. So, that being the case, don't feel bad. Life itself, just like eating model kit as well, team, is wow. Look at that. Said team. I'm really bringing out my work life in this as well. But in general, um, we have got some struggles to overcome though in general. And so a little bit of practice here makes perfect. So I'm going to throw this one out here though. So this is a master grade model, and master grades actually come with something else pretty unique to them. And this is only pretty unique, I say. It's actually in any other grade besides high grade. That's so silly. But inside of here, and I'm going to show it here. It's going to be hard to see, but right here is actually you actually have the pilot itself. The pilot can actually be put inside into um, the actual mobile suit. So we can actually see here in the instructions right here that we actually have a pilot to sit inside the seat. And so I've never actually done it, nor have I actually had a Gundam that I was like, hey, I want to show my cockpit open for it to actually want to paint the interior of the cockpit. So this is one that can actually do that. Master grades have them. If I were to ever to jump aboard a perfect grade, I probably would do that. The perfect grade is actually almost a 2 times bigger than the master grade that we started out with, or when I showed you that size comparison. So they're quite large, or a 160 scale is what it is. But in this instance, I'm just going to go ahead and cut this bad boy out and just leave it out here. I may do something with them someday. I've been keeping all my pilots in the first place, but I'm not overly sold on it. But this one does come with like a little standing duo though as well to paint, which is pretty awesome. There's our standing duo. So that might be fun to throw up on a hand or something holding out. But I'm just going to keep these guys to the side. I'm not going to do anything with them. Just clip them out of my runner and leave them there. Now, the cockpit itself, and I know we're about over time, and I'm going to maybe even cut this off soon, unless Beard Peels wants to stick around a little bit longer. I don't mind building a little bit longer as well. So, just cleaning off here. This is actually the cockpit itself. That's the super fun thing about all these master grades is that the cockpits are also fully functional. You can actually open them up, move the parts around. That the hatch per se for the mobile suit can be actually opened up at that point. So, Beard Peels, you staying with your all right, hanging out. So with your unicorns and Lucky Charms kind of life. So there is actually a Discord open as well if you want to join up over there. You're welcome to, and that way you can actually talk versus just chat. But if you're welcome to stay there and chat. I don't mind reading it. It's right there in the screen. So chat away if you want. Though we're gonna probably get, if you're looking at these instructions, we're probably gonna be able to get most of the actual outer frame complete. And then next time, and this is actually probably one of my preferred ways to actually build as of recently. I've actually started building to the point where, hey, I'm finishing one whole section at the time. So we see this is our end piece here for our body, is to get to here. And with that being our end piece, I'll go ahead and paint all the armor for it. I'll go ahead and decal it all, and then I'll even seal it up afterwards. So that way, once again, it's a full ready assembly item there as well. So it doesn't add, really, it actually adds less time to the build, it feels like to me, than it actually takes overall, because when you're painting in mass like that, it really can just be, I don't know, if, maybe it's just me. Maybe it feels like it becomes a little bit cumbersome to just paint so many at one time, and then you have to wait for them all to dry. So we'll actually take the camera downstairs into my painting area. I have a dedicated area specifically for painting, and that cockpit itself looks pretty doggone awesome. Just once again, even if you were to show this off, there's plenty of detail here on the outside to just once again really make that stand out pretty spectacularly. Now, why do they do that within these model kits? Which, once again, thank you so much, Bandai, for doing it. If you want to show like some battle damage, like some super heavy armor, cut that out, and you're able to then show up those interior pieces. I don't have one specifically for it, but one of my favorite ones is I've got a what's called a Sanaju from Gundam Unicorn Real Grade, and that actually has a beautiful inner frame in the first place. But with that being the case, in that inner frame, um, you're able to actually show off those pieces though as well. It'd be a lot easier to just cut them out a little bit to make it so that you can actually visibly see all of the pieces there that are you can once again nicely paint up and show that as well. I didn't do any destruction to it, but I did paint the originals so that you can actually. I did paint the interior of that one specifically, and it was actually just literally just for fun at that instance. So, all right, we got a cockpit now, pretty much straightforward. Added in the back piece snap-on that's going to be there. Fortunately, I built most of this Gundam before, in just a different way. So we're actually going to go ahead and slide this on there. Already looking pretty good, super solid. Middle here. Got our PC pieces still out here, just a couple of them to jump inside of here. And so GunPla and Chill is also open if you want to jump in there as well within the Discord. This Discord will also be open every week, the same time that we're broadcasting in general. And so, all right, got our inner frame. We're going to do the bottom part here as well, which is still part of it, just part of its mobility. And oh goodness, I got to remember. Good review channel in general. What is his name? Mecha Gotatsu. It's gonna actually disturb me, guys. Oh, I dropped a piece. Fortunately, I have carpet, so it doesn't bounce too much, which is a really big thing. Painting over something that's not bouncing, excuse me, not painting, but working on things that are not bouncing is pretty awesome because they don't go very far. So, all right. Well, Discord is open. Somebody joined in. Might be Beard Pills, but he's got a different handle there. Yep, I see that. You just chatting, or are you able to voice as well? And that's no problem either way. All right, let's see what we're looking for now. It's an XA. No wonder why I couldn't find it there. Going with our XA right here at the base. So is it Melamen Hokage, or is it Milamen Hokage? I feel like we got two different names to go with there. Sorry about that. My mic dropped again. Looks like I need to discharge it overnight. That's the worst. Your headset goes out. Clearly, I didn't come fully prepared for today. I'll do better next time, guys. I promise. But I'm super excited because we're almost, I mean, a lot of chatting here, a lot of Gundam Wing talk. Putting this middle piece together. But I gotta get you guys one of my, I feel like he's just as big as Gundam fan as I am. Just as nerdy with it too. Super proud of him in general. He does an amazing job on YouTube. Yeah, Mecha Gaikotsu, or yeah, Mecha Gaikotsu is the best way to really describe that. Um, that's his Japanese name that he goes by, but he does some really great reviews in general. But one awesome thing, because he's got a bunch of these in general, he's got a bunch of models. Ah, I see. So Spanish and Japanese mixed together. So Meya Meyamana Meyaman Meyaman Hokage. My Spanish is terrible. I'm not gonna lie. I definitely need to get better at it. So, but yeah. So our guy there mentioned specifically that here's what's pretty awesome: that the Gundam Seed Master Grades that came out the same time as these Gundam Wing ones, which they did come out together about the same time, have interchangeable parts. Hokage in English. Okay, fair enough. But yeah, so they have interchangeable parts. I haven't had a chance to do that. I do have three different versions of Strike. Yes, I know there's a problem there. Um, three different versions of Strike in general, and all the upgrades for it as well. I'm actually super excited to build that one too. Um, but with all those different versions of Strikes, the whole idea is that those parts are actually interchangeable with all these Gundam Wing model kits though as well. You also see, once again, I haven't really cleaned up any parts whatsoever, and it's still looking pretty good in the first place. These are the first parts that are actually going to be visible on the mobile suit itself. So, right here on this armor, on this interior armor pieces, these actually stand out because they have armor plating that goes over this area specifically, but these ones will actually stand out and be visible. And we see that actually right here in this section of this 1-3 here at the bottom of the page. There we have the armor that goes over it. Now, this is actually, because of this, and I've built this suit before, this is a fine opportunity to actually work in something called scribing. We're actually not going to do too much of that here in general for this build. It's actually going to be pretty solid without it. But scribing is when we actually etch into it. A really fine tool that I found for it on Amazon. This is definitely my favorite scribing tool that I've actually ever seen in general, and it's super nice. Is this guy? I can hear you. What's up, Hokage? So this right here is my scribing tool. It comes with 5 other blades though as well. So from everything from like 0.2 millimeters. Yep, that's small. Hey, how you doing? Scribing, yes indeed. So we might need to do some here because when these two plates, these two armor plates meet together, I'm actually going to show this up a little bit closer. Yeah, I can hear you just fine. So can you hear me? Is a bigger question. On Discord. Oh, is it Hokage? Alrighty. Oh, so okay, so you can't hear me at all on Discord? Testing my mic. Okay. Gotcha. All right. That is quite the bummer then. That's interesting. Maybe because your headphones is being used for Twitch, excuse me, versus actually being used for Discord. Singular device right now, or? I see. I see. So then it sounds like it could either be my mic issue. So, no, it can't be my mic. Well, no, not my mic issue in Discord as well. I just tested it and it heard me. Are you listening to anything else? Oh, anyway, we're not going to troubleshoot tonight. We do that too much for work in the first place. In our line of work. All right. Well, I'm going to... No worries. So we're all good in Discord then? I like it. So let's see if we can get some zooming in. I hate this about webcams nowadays is all the zoom in functionality. Its auto zoom is just the worst sometimes. So these two plates meet together, and with these two plates meeting together, that usually is going to allow for like a nasty seam line in the first place. The easiest way to fix that up, I found out over time, is literally just to scribe those lines in. And then that way it looks like the two armor platings are meeting in the first place. And we can see here, kind of like once again, we can see that they meet together and there's no indentation in between them. So it's going to look pretty bad unless you do some extra, how to say it? Let's just straight up call it what it is. It's extra sanding work, which I definitely don't want to have to do unless I have to do it. Because usually if you have to do that sanding work, then that means you also have to adhere the pieces together before you actually paint them, which painting is always significantly easier when the parts are separate. So scribing is a really, really easy way to make some of those areas where they do mend together pretty clean looking in the first place. And a lot of mobile suits in general will have that area where when they meet together, that scribe makes sense. So we'll actually see what it looks like in general. I'm actually going to pull those out so that way we can prep for that specifically. So here's our armor pieces. And yes, actually, so this is actually already scribed in. So I'm going to cut these out just to show it up. And thank you, Master Grade, for already having that for us. But right here on this, there's actually these. Let's get it to zoom. Yep. So there's actually, you can see it better right here on the camera. Right there, that there's actually an indentation in the plastic. Two different levels. Those two different levels actually means that when we press these two pieces together, over the armor, it's actually going to look like it's got a nice little area that we're going to panel line as well. Panel lining is part of the painting process, but it doesn't have to be done with painting. And so this will look really, really nice when we actually put these all together. So once again, not liking this color. It's not too shabby, but I do like my Deathscythe to be a little bit darker as well. Let's talk about its design and its whole purpose while we still have a couple more minutes here. And so Duo Maxwell's designer, or Deathscythe's designer, was all about stealth, maximum stealth for every single thing. Well, the dark navy blue looks pretty awesome for it. I'm not looking to go straight black, which is why I'm going to do like the Titan blue with the hint of black in it. A little bit of a custom color here for this model kit. But it's going to make it look real, real nice. And then all of our yellows are going to be a black primer with yellow on top of it, which will make it, once again, still appear yellow, but it's going to have a much more darker feel to it. And it's actually one of my favorite painting techniques in general. If you've ever seen Batman the Animated Series, that is actually one of the that's actually one of the best examples of them using a dark color to give that different style and look to it. So, little unknown thing is that that entire series, which is it's an animated series, so that means it actually was drawn. It was all drawn on dark colors in the first place. So they had all black. I mean, basically they painted everything on black paper or drew everything on black paper, and then of course colored over it, which is why it has such an amazingly dark feel as well. So it's absolutely quite fantastic for the art design in general. For that show in general, I absolutely love it. So we're seeing some different things here. I actually went away from this wing. I'm going with like still the original style for my season one wing. So that's the only one of these, and the only one from the entire original Mobile Suit Gundam. Excuse me, from Gundam Wing that is actually got its original color and design though as well, which kind of sad because actually some of these original designs are pretty doggone solid. I particularly like Shenlong a lot. Shenlong was one of my favorites in the first place with its dragon arm extending out. I love the mechanics behind that. I thought it was utterly fantastic. So it looks like the rest of the pieces that we're looking at here are all going to be armored pieces, which since we're going to actually be painting all this armor in the first place. Now we're not going to put any more pieces on tonight, but we are going to get the other ones cut out and prepped for it though. So I got those bad boys cut out already. And Beard Peels, I know you joined in just a little bit late, but the good news is that it's all being recorded. So you'll be able to actually go back and watch any of the introduction material that you want as well. Should you have any unfulfilled desires from tonight? Because, just like Pedro, he makes all your dreams come true. That's my goal here tonight. All your dreams come true. So Deathscythe Hell being a fully stealth Gundam, like, what is its abilities? What do we know about it in general? Yes, it's dark, brooding. Duo has no parents, so whatever the case is there. That's kind of what we're looking at for a little bit about this mobile suit. So it's supposed to be dark. It's supposed to be stealthy as well. So where do we get some of its abilities? So now let's see what they're talking about. Well, it has a jamming system on the inside of it. It's actually built into the backpack, which is kind of surprising. But apparently those two little vent things that go over its back that we'll look at it with the backpack are what actually causes that in general. And then it also has its big old scythe, which is, how Oz asked the great question that they never answer. How does he use a thermal weapon underneath the water? Well, he just does, clearly. Especially because it's not like a thermal rod it's not like attached to a rod or anything. So how does it work? I don't know. Gundam physics don't make sense, but that's okay. That's not why we watch it. We don't watch it for its physics. We watch it for, mobile suits destroying things or giant robots fighting, keeping it simple. And so, thermal weapon, pretty awesome. Cuts practically anything. It's actually massive. You can actually kind of see it here in the picture. Like the scythe itself, the handle of it is super, super long. And I love this redesign for the handle of it. This is the redesign that you see in Endless Waltz though as well. But that is actually a winner right there for this original, for the redesign though as well. So we are almost got all of our pieces out. And this is probably one of my favorite things. Like you see like these connections right here. All these pieces are just snapped in, so you'll never even see it. So you can just easily just cut them out, and then they are literally just done with that. And so Now we have, I think that's literally all the armor plating for the, oh, nope, there's 2 yellow pieces here as well. 2 more yellow pieces for the armor plating, and then we've literally got all the armor cut out for this body. And so our next portion will literally be, how do I paint, how do I, especially, I'm an airbrusher all day, every day. To me, it's like using Photoshop, but in real life. So I'm actually, once again, just clipping out right next to those pieces. And then in those instances, leaving a little bit of runner on so I can get a nice clean clip there afterwards. Yeah, these are all the torso. So we got a front plating here. We got our back one there. This snaps up. Actually, this one we can see how it goes in just straight up across. Oh. It won't hold itself in place until you actually put on the other armor pieces. And I'm going to just easily assemble the back because the back will hold most of it on there. If I can stop having butterfingers for 5 seconds. And yeah, so the back holds it on there really nice and easy. So no snapping there at all. And then once again, this will go over top of this. And there's a nice little etching mark right here on it, so we don't have to do any scribing for it, which thank you once again for the redesigned model for doing that. The original old one had terrible seam lines. It was a lot of work to get through, and once again, if go watch the beginning where I actually show off that mobile suit in general, what I call his big brother in this instance. These are going to slide into here on both sides. This snaps in from the top, and actually it needs to go in first though. Both of these white pieces go in first before this one goes into play. And then last but not least, this is actually just going to be this is actually not going to be this red color as well though. The original anime color is actually a navy blue as well. And so I'm actually going to put on the chat background. Yep, you can see right here it's just a solid navy blue. And yes, we have 2 vents, but I'm going to live without the 2 vents. I did the 2 vents on the Deathscythe Hell model kit, so we're going to live without the 2 vents. Just have the 1 yellow ones there, which to me looks still really, really solid in general. So sometimes I like to actually leave my whites white. So even though we have white paint out there, sadly it's never nearly as pure as just when it comes out white in the first place. So if we want to give it like a grungy look, then throwing out like a gray primer or even like a custom like darker gray primer will make that look super, super awesome. And actually one of my favorite kits with that, I'm going to pull that in real quick, is that I wanted to do a little bit more grunge for this one. So this is actually a pure white on top of a darkish gray primer. And so once again, here's the original color versus what it came out to be. And that's literally, this is still just straight white paint. No custom or anything to it. What's that? No, this is Tall Geese 3. So from Endless Waltz, so another Gundam wingsuit in general. But yeah, so that's just, once again, that's pure white over just a darker color primer. And here's another one as well. This one is from Gundam 0083, a Universal Century one. But you can actually see specifically, like right here in the lay, we got some amazing grunge look from the primer itself. So I absolutely love the grunge that it gets with. And this is once again just pure white. I actually painted this one over black, so it's actually 2 coats of actually white to get it as white as it is right now. But it once again gives that more grungy, used look in general. But if we want to stick with it, here's another prime example of just sticking with the original white plastic. The white plastic here, you can see practically the same here, and it gives it that nice pure looking color though in general. So looks handsome that way. We're going with a pure white. for most of the parts. But we are going to do something I'm super excited for because I don't get to do it very often, or I feel like I don't do it often enough, and that's actually going to do some weathering. And so, how do we do weathering? That's can be its own video by itself. But simply put, I'm going to use spots of actually dark primer over most of my areas to kind of give some of that as well, and then streak it using just some basic like paint thinner and stuff to streak it down to give it a good look. We'll show all that when it comes around. What's that? No? Yeah, airbrush the black one, but then streak it with like just like some Q-tips. Yeah. Or makeup sponges. It was funny, my wife wanted to steal my makeup sponges the other day because I had more than she did. But I use them specifically for weathering. So we're going to weather this kit, and it's going to look pretty awesome. Deathscythe gets pretty dirty throughout the show, and I think that, Duo Maxwell would actually not clean his mobile suit. He's not that kind of person that he would take his time to wash his mobile suit. So, Katra, absolutely. Trowa, you most definitely believe it. Hito, I mean, he just hardly ever uses his in the first place, so that build is pretty clean as well. So he uses Wing Zero and Epion a pretty good bit, but he gives up and obviously destroys Wing Gundam in the first place like a savage. So he sure did. Yeah, he just self-destructed right there in front of everybody, and they're like, "What?" So, which is awesome. Well, excuse me, it's not awesome that he did that, but I was gonna say in that same episode though, Deathscythe pulls over a frickin' train all by itself, which was awesome. Yeah. So once again, go ahead. No, 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 no. This is what it's for. So this is what it's for. And actually, this is super exciting because now once again, we're only looking at two colors to paint here. We're not painting that red because we saw the original anime design. It's got a navy blue, so it's going to be all, well, that navy blue color. So I've got the navy blue already. I'm going to make it a little bit darker. Actually, just make it, I was going to mix it with black, but if we just paint over the black, it'll be dark enough. So paint over it. We're going to prime this down. Now you can't really see it, and that's because these nippers, these single blade nippers, do such a good job with the technique that we've been doing. You cut off a little bit right next to the runner, and then use these single blade against the actual plastic, and it makes this practically smooth. I can't even, like, you can see this is where it was cut. I've got no clipping of my nail. It just straight up goes super smooth. Yeah, you can see the stress marks, but when it comes down to painting, you're not going to see anything at all. And it was actually funny because like on Reddit the other day, I saw like somebody was asking like, "Hey, how do you really get rid of nubs?" And the problem is that there's really no like superiorly good answer for that, because even with all the sanding and all the using like an X-Acto knife per se to get those edges and everything cut off, it does not help with stress marks. Stress marks are unfortunately just gonna be there for the most part. And even if you properly sand it, which I've properly sanded it, like at least 20 to 30 kits, and you still see the injection marks at that point. Like, so what does that mean? Well, the plastic will literally be dark, like it'll be a dark spot instead of a light spot. So there will literally be a dark spot of plastic because it just like with blood and how it collages together, this will do the exact same thing with the plastic. So you can just see that big old heavy spot. So there's just no avoiding it. There's no avoiding the so there's no avoiding it in general. So that's why whites can be left white because you're not going to have any issue with that. So like light grays, same thing. So those Sonajus that I showed out earlier, all these light grays, actually in this big boy, right? All these light grays, that's still original plastic. So there's just no signs or telltales at all that it was part of the kit. But these blues once again have that exact issue that we're seeing here with Deathscythe. So they're gonna have those little dots. Let's see if we can get pulled up. Once again, I hate the zoom function or the auto zoom. But that, yeah, and this is actually kind of this is that blue that I'm talking about, but I'm just going to paint it over a black primer and it's going to look real nice and grungy. Grungy dark, the way we want our Deathscythe to be. And so, but we are actually done for the night. We could talk a little bit more about Deathscythe Season 1 of Gundam as well, that it comes from, or Season 1 of Gundam Wing as well, which, yes, I know it doesn't have a Season 1. You can actually watch the whole series right now on Hulu if you have a Hulu account. It's also available on Crunchyroll. In addition to that, I like Hulu, no commercials with just $10 a month. So, kind of giving. I'm not gonna fully snap it together, but let's give it what it kind of looks like in general from the start, so we can actually see what we're gonna paint it next time. And so, if we have the same hour that we do tonight, then we will also do some detailing to it as well. Mentioned a little bit earlier how I use acrylics, and another beautiful thing about acrylics is that it's really fast to go from painting to doing everything else though. Oh, this has got to be put in first as well. I am going to do a few touches of gray here. The few grays that are going to show is like right here on this neck piece, this neck armor. And then these two little, I don't even know what they are. They never use them, but they're visible, so we'll make a gray for that as well to show it off. And this, actually, we're going to look at our picture one more time. So yeah, the neck here is still white, which is not an issue. We're just going to leave it right there, unpainted. Makes it real easy. I like proper colors in the first place. Less work for me and more beauty for the end product. So let's see what this looks like, kind of from the start. I have seen some people, they just prime the whole thing all at once and then just paint it there afterwards, but I'm not about that life. Maybe I just don't have that time, maybe I don't have that skill, I don't know what it is, but for each one that I've done where I've just painted it individually, I mean, that's going to look super awesome in the first place. We're going to use, once again, a fair amount of black primer here, which does an amazing effect for a lot of its purposes here as well. So, especially because this yellow comes out a more orangish color versus a true yellow. If you actually, oh, I'm not even showing it on camera. So there we are. So this is staying white. This is all going to be navy blue. This is going to be a dark yellow, and then you can see that once again of the armor itself, only the neck armor, and then these two things underneath the I don't even know what these called. These shoulder pads here. Let's call them shoulder pads, shoulder plates. Um, Maybe that's part of its jamming system. Who knows? Who knows? Gundam mechanics don't always work out. They're just there. But those are gonna we're gonna paint those just like a light gray in general. Paint just straight to them. But yeah, so that's our basic build for Deathscythe. I'm excited to get its torso painted, and that will be in next week. So if there's nothing else, no other questions for tonight. Have a happy 4th of July. Wear your most American shirt you can. I'm rocking the Top Gun, red, white, and blue, mainly blue. So, anyway, have a fantastic evening. We'll catch you next time. All right. Thank you.